In this video, we are going to look into the poem Telephone Conversation by Wole Soyinka. This is a powerful and ironic poem that explores racism, prejudice, and communication. Wole Soyinka, a Nigerian poet and playwright, is known for his deep insights into human behavior and social injustice. In this poem, he transforms a simple telephone call into a sharp commentary on racial discrimination. The speaker, an African man looking for a place to stay, calls a white landlady to inquire about renting a flat. What begins as a polite and hopeful exchange soon turns uncomfortable when the landlady's true prejudice is revealed. The poem begins calmly with the African man describing the practical details of his search for a place to rent. The price seems reasonable, the location acceptable, and the landlady lives off the premises. Everything appears ideal. But the speaker knows that his identity might change how he is treated, so he decides to be honest. He warns her, Madam, I hate a wasted journey. I am African. This single line carries the weight of social experience. He knows prejudice exists and wants to confront it before wasting time or effort. The first silence after this confession is powerful. Soinka calls it a silenced transmission of pressurized good breeding. The phrase suggests the landlady is trying to stay polite, but her prejudice is pressing against her manners. This opening sets the tone polite on the surface but charged underneath. The speaker's honesty and self awareness contrasts with the landlady's concealed discomfort, creating tension that soon erupts in the next part of the conversation. When the landlady finally speaks, her question shocks both the speaker and the reader. How dark? She asks. Her voice, described as lipstick coated and cigarette holder piped, symbolizes artificial refinement, masking ignorance. The speaker's disbelief shows in his hesitation. He even wonders if he misheard. Her follow up, Are you light or very dark? Makes her racism undeniable. Here, Soinka uses the confined setting of the red telephone booth to reflect the claustrophobic pressure of the situation. Surrounded by red, the booth, the postbox, the buses, the color symbolizes danger that the landlady poses and anger that he is humiliated. The silence that follows reveals the speaker's internal struggle. He feels humiliated, but instead of showing anger, he turns to wit and irony. He tries to make sense of her absurd question, asking himself how to measure darkness. This moment marks the shift from simple dialogue to a deeper reflection on how race becomes a social barrier. The speaker decides to respond with humor. He asks whether she means like plain or milk chocolate. His sarcasm exposes the absurdity of her obsession with skin tone. The landlady, however, fails to recognize the irony. She answers clinically without emotion, showing how dehumanizing prejudice can be, reducing a person to a shade of color. The speaker then invents a poetic description West African sepia and adds down in my passport, giving his identity a factual, almost official tone. Yet, the landlady's ignorance continues as she admits she doesn't know what that means. This exchange reveals the gulf between them. She cannot see him as a human being, only as a color to classify. Soinka's irony is a clever way to confront prejudice without aggression. The speaker maintains his dignity by controlling the tone, while the landlady exposes her ignorance through her own words. In the final part of the poem, the speaker takes full control of the conversation. He mocks the landlady's obsession by describing himself in exaggerated physical detail. My palms and soles are peroxide blonde, but my bottom is raven black. His language becomes bold and playful, a form of resistance through satire. He turns the racist question into an absurd image, showing how meaningless such distinctions are. The humor reaches its peak when he asks, "Wouldn't you rather see for yourself?" This question reverses power. Now, the landlady is the one who feels exposed and uncomfortable. Soinka's ending leaves the reader thoughtful. The laughter is uneasy. Behind it lies frustration and pain. The poem ends without resolution because racism itself has no neat ending. It lingers unresolved in everyday interactions. The major themes found in the poem are racism, identity, and irony. Racism here is not shown through violence but through ignorance and everyday discrimination. Soinka uses humor to reveal how absurd racial thinking can be, how people reduce others to skin color rather than humanity. Another important theme is self respect. The African speaker remains calm and articulate, using wit and intelligence to expose prejudice rather than surrendering to anger. His humor becomes his strength and a shield of dignity. Finally, Soinka invites us to reflect on society's false politeness. The landlady's pressurized good breeding hides her bias, proving that politeness without respect is meaningless. The poem leaves a lasting impression, reminding us that true communication begins only when we see one another as equals. With this, we come to the end of the poem, Telephone Conversation by Wole Soyinka.